How you guys doing today? I think about the blessing every single time I get to come up here and talk about God. And not just because, I get to talk about God, but because I get to, maybe share a little bit of my story and maybe let God use me to get into somebody else's life. Maybe they needed to hear something. I know a lot of people have like a relevance of when I first started coming to church and I didn't really know God yet, that I started coming and I would hear sermons and they would always be poking at me. And I think the closer I've gotten to God, the less I've heard that because I study the Word so much that I kind of get that conviction every single day. And I don't know if you guys listen to, like podcasts or videos, but I do a lot. And I like to listen to preachers that are going to give me like, a conviction on things I do in my daily life every single day. Because I like that conviction because it reminds me that I'm still human. I'm still flesh like we all are. None of us are perfect. But then I thought, what is something I struggle with daily? And I've been thinking about this for a long time. And then I, finally figured out a good verse for it. And I was like, you know what? Something's telling me to talk to Pastor Justin about coming up here and speaking today. And which, he was totally in for it. He's an amazing role model to me. And he's always there for me. And I'd say that you guys got really blessed with this guy. I give a lot of credit to him. I've gotten two really good peers in my life that have helped me a lot. I mean, a lot. Two really good preachers that really know God, and you can tell that's where their heart is. But do you guys ever pray and kind of feel like you're asking for too much? Because, man, I pray, and sometimes I don't want to ask God for anything because God is so much bigger and so much better than me that it feels wrong. It feels wrong asking God for things sometimes because you're so imperfect compared to a perfect God. It's like, why would God want to give me something when I don't deserve that thing? Just as Jesus didn't deserve to die on the cross, I don't deserve blessings from God, but God gives it to us. None of us deserve to go to heaven. And yet, Jesus still went and died on the cross for us, showing the humble form, which he just talked about, God coming on earth as humble and showing, a sense of love to every single one of us, right? So, let me get into scripture before I get too far into this. Please join me in 2 Corinthians 6:2. For he said, I have heard it. In the day of salvation I have scurred thee. Behold, now is the time accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. This reminded me that no matter what I do, I'm never going to be good enough. But that doesn't mean I can't talk to God about things. That doesn't mean I can't ask God for things. But another thing it reminded me of is I think this sometimes, and some people, I like to say, I think about this sometimes as a person who feels bad for asking God things. Some people talk to God only when they're in struggle. Some people only talk to God when there's something bad going on in their life. And to me, when I think of my situation where I feel bad to talk to God sometimes, the only time somebody will talk to God, let's say they're sick or their parents dying or they're losing a loved one, that is the only time someone's willing to talk to God. Now, do I think it's bad that they talk to God in that time? Because I think that we should talk to God in those times. But where does it come when you decide to talk to God in a time of struggle and in a time of good? Why can you not look at those good times and say, God, thank you for this moment? There's two things that Jesus really pushed for, was praying to God and thanking God. Thanking God for every single thing. So throughout your day, you ate food. Thank God for that, because not a lot of people get to eat food, man. I mean, they go in, live check by check and not get to, see the food that some people are. And I know we have a really blessed community, and I would say that a lot of people in this community are in that situation, but there is people. I mean, think about even getting to live as a Christian and getting to say you thank God. In Africa, there's people being killed, martyred, because they believe in Jesus Christ and won't deny Him. So we have to take that into consideration when we're thinking, our situation's bad, but even when we're in a good situation, we have to think about God in those situations. Because we get so high on ourselves that we forget who God is there. And so, when you go into time of struggle, you're God, please take this, like, save my parents, save my brother. God, please take me out of this depression. Take me out of this anxiety. God, please take this financial problems away from me. But you don't pray to God when you're financially stable. You don't pray to God when everybody in your family is fine. And you don't thank God for those moments. And you expect God to just be the fixer. And then when he doesn't answer your prayer, he answers your prayer in 3 ways: yes, no, and wait. But if he doesn't, answer how you wanted it answered right away, you start to question God. And that is so, I'm not going to say I never question God, because I don't think anybody in this room can say they never questioned God. But you start thinking, well, God, why are you not saving my parent? Why did my parent die, God? Why did you let my parent die? Why do people in this world have cancer, God? Why are people dying because of cancer? Why are people broke in this world? Why are people being killed in this world? And yet, you can't even think of when times are good. We're really critical on God. And the worst part is, it's not God's fault. It's our fault, right? God gave us that free will to be able to do what we want, right? To get the choice between accepting him or living without him. So yeah, when people are going to go up to heaven, they're going to be saying the same thing when they stand in front of God. God, why would you send me to hell? Don't you want an eternity with me? Don't you love me? Don't you love me? But yet, you chose to be separate from him from this little time that you had on earth. But now you want to live with him because it's eternity, right? It's only convenient for you once you get, in front of God. It's only convenient that you want to be with it now, right? Because you're scared. To fear God is to hate evil. Proverbs 8:13. And some people think fearing God means being scared of him. Thinking God is, too big to... They don't think of him as a loving God when they hear that. They think of him as a scary God. I'm telling you, we have the most loving God known to mankind, because I'm telling you, if he wasn't loving, he would have sent his son down. And he didn't even have to do that. And the important part to this is that, we have to reflect on ourselves. Because none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Pastor Justin isn't perfect. Logan isn't perfect. None of us are perfect. I sin every single day. But I don't just come to God when I sin. I don't just come to God when I'm having trouble sleeping at night. I come to God when I'm just sitting in class. I come to God when I'm just relaxing. I come to God when I'm having the best time of my life, because I have to realize who gave me this chance to have this life. To live freely of sin, because he died on the cross for us. To live freely of sin isn't meaning you're not going to sin anymore, but that means Jesus paid the price. The gospel is the birth, the life, the death, and you got to have the resurrection. Without the resurrection, it means anything. But Jesus rose and went on the earth, roamed the earth, appeared to people, and we have many eyewitnesses. I don't know if you guys know this, but there is more manuscripts to the Bible and all the scriptures than any other philosophy in the world. And yet some people still have trouble believing it. Now, me as a person who comes up here, sometimes I have to, re-look at my faith. I was talking to Pastor Justin on this earlier. So I'll sometimes, have to realize that I'm not always going to feel God. Because God, he likes to test our faith a little bit. He likes to see how strong we are in the faith. So you guys know when you feel like, man, God, why are you so far away from me right now? I'm not feeling any connection. I feel like I'm just reading the Bible and praying. I don't feel like I'm connecting with God. I don't feel like I'm talking to God. But yet, you do that, and then you take a night of reflection and really look into it, right? And you start to feel God, really moving in your life. And maybe you don't that night, but the next day, or maybe the next week, or the next month. God works on his own time, and that's the beautiful thing about it all. And we can't understand God fully, because if we could understand God fully, he wouldn't be a God worth praising, right? Because no one on this earth isn't able to be fully understood. We can understand somebody else. I mean, if you really evaluate somebody, you can understand them. Maybe not every detail in their life, but you can understand yourself fully, right? So if you can understand yourself fully, I mean, if you really tried and really got into depth with somebody, you could really understand somebody. But God, you could study this word, 24 hours a day for 100 years, and I am telling you, you would not have all of it put down. Like, man, I thoroughly understand that. Jesus' word never ends. The earth is going to pass away, but Jesus' word never passes away. So the word is always going to be there. And I kind of think of it sometimes as, well, you know, when we get into heaven or when we're praising God, what if we learn too much? And that's what God's going to remind us that when we learn, He's going to give us something else. You guys don't think you learn something new every single day? I mean, some of us have been here for, you know, I'm 17 years old. I've been here for 17 years. Some people have been here for 50 years, 80 years. You think you know everything? Because no one does, right? You're never going to know everything with God. But the important part is to get into that word and understand what God, you know, has put you on the earth for. And He talked about my calling that I hesitated to accept. And let me go into depth on that a little bit. I was worried about accepting the calling because I was worried about what the world, not because I was ashamed, but because I was worried that I was doing it for myself, doing it for attention. And I didn't want that to be, you know, why I pursued a relationship with God, why I wanted a relationship with God. I want my relationship and what I do here to be strictly for God. Because to be honest, up here, if I'm talking and I don't know God, and even if it's in vain, yes, you guys are learning, and that's fantastic. Hearing the Word of God is fantastic. But it makes me realize the powerful God I have. And it's such a blessing every single day that I get to realize the most powerful God is on my side, right? I mean, God is on my side. And I don't know that I could, you know, go out and live without Him. Let me go on my testimony a little bit. I had always been a Christian and always followed God, but I wanted more of a understanding of why I followed God. And I never seek to figure that out. I read the Word, but I just read it to read it, you know. Yeah, it's good to, you know, get those seeds planted in you. That was God's work, right? God's timing. But I got to such a bad point that I started to feel like numb to things at the time. Either I was angry or sad. I don't want to say depression, but I was almost there. Like I felt numb to things. And I was bothered, and I felt like everything I did had no meaning to it. And when I feel like nothing has meaning to it, then it's hard because you want to know what your purpose is of why you're living and why you're doing what you're doing, right? I mean, why am I, you know, living each day if I don't even know why what I'm doing or why I'm living? And I was, you know, crying my eyes out one night, begging God, please, I just want to feel. I want to feel you, but I also want to feel like emotions. I want to be able to, you know my purpose. That's the first time I cried in a long time. And I already showed a sense of emotion. But I still didn't understand why I was feeling numb. And I asked God, show me a sign. I believed in you since I was a little kid, but you never showed me you. And I showed a sense of doubt in God because I wasn't there yet. And then I begged God, begged him, just show me something. Wasn't storming that night, but I heard thunder. But I didn't believe it yet. I was like, God, I don't think that's you. Because I was hard-headed, didn't want to take in what God has to, show me. He wanted to show something to me, right? But I wasn't accepting it because I had too much world in me, not enough spirit. And I asked God again, let me hear, let me feel something, God. Prove that's you. And not a coincidence, but I hear dogs barking, a car alarm going off, and chills went down my back. And that night, it was a total shift. Me and God's relationship tightened up, and I hadn't spoke or nothing before. So this is still, this is 2 years ago, I believe. And I still haven't, been there with God yet. But that night, I knew that there was a change. I could just feel the aroma. When you're doing something, and let's say it's sports, and you're getting in the flow of a game, and you're finally flowing, you can feel that change. Like, I'm finally in it. That's how I felt that night, that I felt God moving me. And I was like, oh my, God showed up for me. And in that time, I was only praying to God because I was going through something. I was using God as a genie, not as a loving relationship with someone who died for me. I was using God as someone to save me. He's already done it. Already saved me. But I wasn't bold enough to accept what God had in store for me. I wasn't bold enough to say, God, I gotta live for you. Now, I believed in God, but I didn't obey God. And I've learned a lot about that recently. And now, I'm not going to say, once again, I'm nowhere close to perfect. I'm far from it. But I've learned more to live for God. I've turned more of following God to a lifestyle rather than a chore. Because it was a chore for me a long time. Oh, I got to make sure I do my Bible study tonight. I got to make sure I keep my streak on my Bible app tonight. I got to make sure I pray tonight. It became chores. I have to do it. I don't get to do it. I have to do it. So when I went and talked to God, it wasn't sincere. When I went and read the Bible, it wasn't sincere. When I went to Fall Streak, it wasn't sincere. But in every way, God had his hands out and I was in them. And he had a grip on me. And he knew what he was doing. And that's the perfect and the beautiful thing of God's timing. That we don't realize what God's planning to do in our lives. And gosh, we doubt so much. Even times we don't think we're doubting him, we're doubting. Sometimes we read his word and we don't understand it and we wonder why we're not understanding. We doubt God in that moment. Sometimes we'll have a thought in the back of our head like, Satan's speaking to us saying God isn't real because you don't feel him. It's not a feeling. It's faith. Faith in God is where it starts. And I had a man talk to me when I was in youth on a Wednesday night, a long time ago, when I was about 9 years old. And he came up to me and I said, how do you believe in God when we don't see him? When we don't know who God is? Like, we're never going to see God in our lifetime. At least I don't think so. How do we know it's not just black after we die? I was like, I don't understand. Like, how do we know it's not just like sleeping? And I didn't understand because I was still a little kid and just curious, which is a very great thing about people my age now. Is we're all very curious. Even my little brother, he is 8 years old, and man, that kid he asked me a lot of questions, especially about this topic, because he sees a lot. He's exposed to a lot. I mean, a lot of stuff is put out there now. And I just wanted to know an answer. And I feel like God's talking to me right now because I'm just remembering that now. That was not prepped before this. But I'm thinking back to it now. And he tells me, well, it's not the sign of God. That's where the faith comes in, right? The hope in God, He doesn't have to appear to you to believe in him. I mean, look at oxygen, for example. I mean, you can't see it, but you know it's there. Did I think that conversation was going to come up 8 years later? No, definitely not. honestly, 8 years ago, I probably thought I was going to be an attorney. Not talking about God. Going to church on Wednesday and Sundays, but I did not think I was going to be talking about God. But God, once he got that grip on me, and he changed my life, man, did he push that calling on me. I have never felt so pushed to follow God and to talk about God until the past year of my life. And before the first time I preached, which was on a Wednesday night at Citrus Hope Chapel, Lawton, Oklahoma, excluding FCA, I talk at FCA, but I was really hesitant on it. Like, I don't know, like I felt like it was kind of hard to go into it, and I kept saying, hey, let's just push it back another week. Let's push it back another month. I got this Wednesday. Because I didn't feel like I was ready. And I think that was a part of Satan trying to bring me out of it. Saying, you know, God's about to get God fully. But I can try a couple last efforts. Just a couple efforts this time. Josh, you can't go this week. You got this. Josh, you got to do this. Whatever he was doing, he was trying to just feed it into my brain that I wasn't ready. And you know what? I'm still not ready today. I'm still learning every single day. Still moves and still tells me what to preach. And that is the most fantastic thing about God. That his power to show me what I need to talk about, to tell me what to say. It's so beautiful that God speaks through me. That I don't have to do the work. I go and study the Bible, but God did it all already. He showed me the word. And I'm telling you, a lot of things I say up here, I look back and I say, where did I learn that? Because God is speaking through me. And I am so on fire for God. I hope everybody gets that same feeling one day. One day we're going to stand in front of God. And how you decided to live on this earth, whether you decided to accept or deny Him, whether you decided to live separately from Him, or you took Him in and wanted to live eternally with Him, and believe that He died on that cross and rose 3 days later. That's where it differs in life. Because some people are going to live for themselves. And they're going to stand in front of God one day and they're going to say, God, I was such a good person. I put $3 in the offering plate. I went to Sunday service. I prayed a couple times. Well, did you believe in me? Did you believe I died on the cross? Did you obey my word? Well, no, God, but you have to understand. You have to understand that I didn't fully understand what it was saying here. God, I didn't understand why, those people were so, obsessed with you. I didn't understand why I couldn't just do what I want and have fun before I had to go live eternally here. God is not going to sit there and have someone come into eternity with Him when they couldn't even live, let's say, max 100 years. Not a lot of people live to 100, but max 100 years. They didn't come here to spend that small time. You think of this world as something little as, you can't even see it, this little hole right here. And this rest of this room, the rest of this world is eternity. And they took that little hole right there. And all they had to do is follow and have faith and trust that Jesus died on the cross and resurrected. That's all they had to trust and obey His word. But they decided not to. And then they expect a free pass? Come on, is that just? It already wasn't just that God came down on earth and died. I mean, He died for us. He did not have to do that. Romans 6:23, for the wages of sin is death. We deserve hell. And I don't know if you believe that, but I strongly can tell you, every single one of us in here deserve hell. Every single one of us. Now, do I know what hell looks like? Do I think it's a fiery pit that you get casted into? The Bible doesn't explain that. It tells us gnashing of teeth, outer darkness. The Bible doesn't discreetly explain what hell is. But you know what the Bible does tell us? It's eternal separation from God. And I'm telling you, when you feel that joy and that love from God when you're in His presence, you are going to really regret not following Him for that little time you had on earth. You are going to really regret it. And this just starts with something just as little as praying. With something just as little as reading the Bible. God does not ask for much. He does not ask for anything on earth that you have to deal with. I mean, we get caught so much up in, how we're going to be good on money, how we're going to be, in a good relationship, how we're going to have a good marriage. If you trust in God and all of that, all of it will come. Maybe God doesn't want you to be rich. Maybe God doesn't want you to get married. I mean, we don't know what God's plan is for us. I mean, what we do know is He wants us to follow Him, and He loves us. I mean, maybe you don't think it, but God shows every single day that He loves you. I mean, every single one of us. He shows us every single day. Because if He didn't, man, if God didn't love you, you'd be on the wrong side, man. I don't know what God you're following if God doesn't love you, but I seen a Hebrew Israelite talking the other day and saying that only so many people are saved from God, and it just reminds me that there are so many people that preach the false gospel in this world. Some people that try to deceive you, and you want to know, you think of it as a human. That human is just of the world. That's Satan talking through. Before I knew God, I knew that I had to believe in God to go to heaven, but I didn't know that, like where I am now is a total difference from where I was 2 years ago. And I think back to that, like the way I was living back then. Man, I really didn't understand my calling, but I understood that God did want a relationship with me. I didn't understand anything about God. I mean, I read the Bible, but I didn't understand it. It's especially hard when you start in Genesis and read from the Old Testament to the New Testament, because, man, I'm telling you, I still struggle to read the Old Testament nowadays. That thing is rough. But, I used to take it as a wisdom, I do gain a lot of wisdom out of reading the Bible, honestly. The Bible there's so much knowledge in it. I mean, it makes me, even question myself sometimes on how much do I really know? I mean, I can, quote, so many verses, but, I mean, there's so many verses in the Bible, and I can only quote so many, so. But it makes me step back and realize the God I follow. I mean, the God I follow is letting me come up here and speak to you guys right now. And He died on the cross for me. Doesn't that feel wrong to you guys that the God that died on the cross for me is letting me come up here and speak? Shouldn't He be up here speaking? Well, just so you guys know, He is the one speaking, because He's speaking right through me. Through that word right here. And this was right here, this whole Bible, talking through prophets, talking through people that God had spoken through. This right here is a love letter from God. This is God using people that He wanted to speak through, people such as people nowadays. He uses pastors to speak through them sometimes. And maybe they don't write everything down and, document what God has done for them. And, there's eyewitnesses in there and everything. People prophesied that Jesus was going to come, but they didn't, people believed in Jesus before He even came to earth. Do you think some people, that live now don't believe in Jesus after He's came to earth? I mean, Jesus is giving it to us now. Come on, guys. We gotta, take what He's given. Because it was a lot harder back then, because they had to, sacrifice animals and everything. And we had a humble God that was willing to pay that debt for us. Because when I go into Judgment Day, I'm going to stand in front of God, and there's going to be a stack about this high or touching the roof. I don't know. Way high. And I'm going to sit there, and Jesus is going to come and be like, he's with me. He's good. Because the other person who's going to come up here, maybe they weren't as bad as me, and they come up with this little stack. And Jesus doesn't show up and say, he's with me. That little stack ain't got nothing to do with where you're going. Because the little stack doesn't matter unless you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. My sins don't matter because I follow Jesus Christ. And I couldn't want to push that more onto anybody else. People tell me, I see this all the time on social media, don't push your religion on me. Don't push your God on me. I don't want to hear that. And the hard thing is they're not necessarily, I'm not a religious guy. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, but I definitely am pushing it on them because I want people to believe. I want people to feel and get to know the same loving God I know. I want people to have that relationship. I want every single person in this room to go to heaven. I want everybody in this room to experience the love of God. I've experienced it every single day of my life. Maybe I didn't realize that every single day. Maybe I didn't thank God for it every single day. But I've realized what God has done for me. And I cannot tell you how much more of a blessing it has been to follow that God. That God that's never gave up on me. That God that's seen the worst of me and still calls me by my name. And Satan, he calls me by my sin. And that's why I was scared to come up here and talk sometimes. And that's why I get nervous before I preach. Because Satan is trying his best to stop me. He's trying his best to pull me away from God. And I'm not going to let Satan get in the way of that. I'm not going to let Satan get that grab on me. Because Jesus isn't going to let it happen. Jesus has got me guarded, and I don't plan to let him go. And I pray that every single person in this room gets that same opportunity to have Jesus guarding them, to have Jesus holding them. And maybe you don't know Jesus yet. And maybe this is the first time that God is speaking to you. And if that is this first time, it is never too late. Jesus Christ will take you on your last breath or your first. Jesus wants you no matter what circumstance you're in. Whether you're in that good and you forget about God because you're doing great. Why do you need a God when you're doing great? I'm living the life. You know, I've heard that before. I've seen it in a movie. I don't know if you guys ever seen God's Not Dead, but they say Satan makes living for the believers hard, and when you don't believe in God, he makes it really comfortable. Sitting on that cozy seat with them, and you get to stand in front of, whatever you want to do, and you get to, do what you want to do. Satan wants to make that look good. The path to heaven is narrow, and it looks, I've heard this a trillion times, the path to heaven looks like hell, and the path to hell looks like heaven. It looks good to go to hell. And once you get there, it's not going to look good no more. Because the world has made these fleshly things, these worldly things look so good. He's made it so easy for people to get trapped up in it. You shouldn't be able to, have an opportunity to find, a new way to go to Satan every single day, but he finds new ways. I will say Satan is going to pick at every single one of you guys, and that is no doubt in my mind. Satan is going to try. He tempted Jesus. So it's now on you. Continue to let Jesus come in your life. Let Jesus take over you and watch over you and guard you. Or think, well, God, I haven't seen you. What have you done in my life? When have you shown up for me? Shows up every single day. We just don't decide to realize it. So when is that time you're going to use God? Not as a genie, but to not use, but to have a relationship with them. That's what Jesus Christ came on earth to do. He wanted a relationship with every single one of us. I'm telling you, Jesus Christ, and I want you guys to go to heaven so much. Jesus Christ wants it way more than I do. Jesus Christ loves every single one of you, and he wants to spend eternity with you. But it's your decision. He gave you that free will to decide to choose him. Every single one of you have that decision to choose Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you, it'll be the best decision of your life, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Even if you're going through times of struggle and it feels like, gosh, man, God isn't doing this for me, or this for me, or this for me. It feels hard. But you know, when I say don't use God as a genie, it doesn't mean you can't pray to him when you're having a bad time. Pray to God in those times. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. Pray to God in the good times. Pray to God in the bad times. Pray to God when you don't feel him at all. Pray to him when you feel chills down your back and have goosebumps. Pray to God as if he is right next to you, because he is. God is always with you, and all he asks you is to have a relationship with him, to believe in him, to realize what he's doing for you. That is all Jesus wants, is he wants a relationship with you. Give it to him. Don't use him as a genie. Use him as not use him, let me reword that. Have him as a lover. Have him as someone so intimate, so close to you, that he knows everything about you, even if he already knows. Tell him about your day. Tell him what you did today. He knows what you did, but tell him. He wants to talk to you. He's happy when you talk to him. Jesus is always, always sitting there waiting for you. There's not a time or second that Jesus Christ doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to listen to you. So when you feel like somebody in your life doesn't want to talk to you at the moment, somebody in your life doesn't want to deal with you at the moment, I'm telling you, there's someone you can always rely on. There's someone you can always go back to. Because he will never leave that spot. He will never leave that seat waiting for you. But it's your choice. Guys, and I couldn't be more sincere on how much I can express how much Jesus loves you. And I wish I could show that better than, what it actually is, because I can't. Because I can't comprehend fully what, Jesus did. Yeah, I know. I've heard the stories, but I learn new things every single day about what Jesus did for every single person on this earth, whoever has walked this earth. He's done so much for us, and it breaks my heart when people don't accept him, and most importantly, it breaks Jesus' heart when you don't accept him. His heart broken. Do you think he wants to send you away from him? I'm telling you, it's not wants. He doesn't want certain people to go to heaven because they're rich or because they're a really good person. He wants people to go to heaven because he had a relationship with you, and he wants people to go to heaven because you love them, and he wants you to go to heaven. He's never not wanted any of you guys to go to heaven. That's why he keeps trying at you. That's why I'm talking right now, because Jesus wants you to hear this. And if you haven't got anything out of this whole message, I just want you to listen for just a second. Jesus Christ will never, ever betray you. He will never, ever leave you. He will never give up on you. Even if you think you're firm in your faith because you read the Bible or if you pray, you need to reevaluate and remember and realize if you're actually following Jesus, if you're not just choosing it as a chore. Go to church on Wednesday and Sunday. Because I'm telling you, it's deceiving. It really is, because I was the same way. I rededicated my life while I wasn't a firm believer. I rededicated my life. Honestly, I really didn't know God. I just did it because it felt right. It felt like that was my way back to him. But I tell you, no baptism, no rededication is what's going to save you. It's you. It's you that's going to take Jesus in. Jesus already did the work. Now it's your decision. And I'm going to leave it on that. So please join me in prayer. Our Father, I am so grateful for this crowd today. I couldn't be more blessed to get up here and speak about you, Father, that maybe this word just opens someone's eyes today, Father, that I pray that I said what you wanted me to say. And Father, if there's something else you're pushing for somebody, just open it up in their life, Father. Make it obvious. Father, I know some people haven't accepted you. And I know that's hurting you. I know. Father, I just pray that even one more into the kingdom of heaven. I just pray that we get them there. They find you, Father. I pray that this message just moves someone today. And maybe not today, maybe next month. Father, whenever your time, whenever your will is, just let it happen. There's some amazing people in here. And I know you love every single one of them, Father. Father, we know that we aren't perfect and we never will be, but we have you. And you did that for us. Not because you had to, but because you loved us. And we're so grateful for that. Couldn't be more grateful that such a righteous God came down and died for me, for everybody else in here and everybody on this world, that he's willing to die for us. And I just pray that maybe this message goes further than this room. Maybe somebody talks to somebody else. Push them through that bold faith that they can go talk to somebody else and get more of a firm belief in you, Father. Father, forgive me for my sins are many. Father, sometimes I don't know your will, but I pray that whatever it may be, you do it, Father. Father, just let me trust in your timing more. Let these words come from you, Father, for I deserve no credit, but all be given to you. I love you, I thank you, and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.